good. How you doing?
Very good, thank
Every
you.
time I see you, you look a little bit younger. You're reverse aging. It must be all the yoga.
It's that and Asian genes.
Yeah.
You look very well, Katie.
Thanks. I am. I'm good. I'm good. Apart from the fact that I now need glasses to be able to see.
Katie, you know that I've had glasses since I was 10.
I do know that you wear
So
glasses.
yeah, you just like it's finally catching up.
I know. None of us are getting any younger. All right. We'll just wait a couple of minutes for everyone to come in. There's a couple of people in the group who have young children that they're probably still wrangling and they'll come in possibly a bit late. What I'll do, Keith, is I'll make you host because I'm going to disappear and do my own kid wrangling.
Yes, no problem.
And that way you can let people in as well.
Okay, let's let these people in. Admit. How many students do we have, Katie?
There's 19, including Danielle and I, so 17, but not all of them will be live. Some will watch the recording.
Okay,
But
so
we've
no,
been getting
I'm
pretty, like maybe 12 or 13 last week, so that's pretty good.
okay. So I'm the host now, Katie. I can just let people in.
Amazing. All right, we'll just wait a couple of minutes because I want to introduce you and then I'll head off. Are you drinking water from your daughter's bottle, Danielle?
So cute.
It's like a micro bottle. This makes a refreshing change from those ridiculous massive ones that everyone seems to
They're
carry around
like
these days.
we call them emotional support water bottles now.
There's a really funny, I don't know, Hugh Grant just really makes me laugh. And there's a really funny Hugh Grant little clip that's been going around about him talking about asking the question, why do my children have to carry buckets of water across London to go to school?
I've seen it.
It's really funny.
He
I
talks
love
about
it.
how he survived without ever drinking
Yeah,
water.
yeah. All right, okay, let us begin. Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday evening, and welcome to Keith G, who is a long-term friend, colleague, co-teacher, Jivamukti devotee, Jivamukti teacher, all the things, and very passionate about the chakras. And you will find that his yoga studio is called Bij Yoga, which is like very relevant to the chakras, which you'll understand why after today's session. Um, so yeah, I have nothing else to add other than Keith is wonderful. I'm so glad that he's here and able to share just a little different perspective. I think it's really nice for you guys to get another insight to a teacher who has a lot of knowledge of the subtle body and understanding, and will just teach in a slightly different way, but still very much aligned with the methods that I've, learned and love. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. And thank you, Katie, because I learned a lot of this from you. So I'm very happy to be teaching on the chakra system tonight.
Beautiful. Have fun, everyone. I'm going to leave. Enjoy. See you at the weekend. Thanks,
Namaste.
Keith.
Thank you, Katie. Namaste, everyone. I want to make this interactive as possible. So I'll be asking you some questions. Please feel free to ask me if there's anything that feels like it needs further clarification. As Katie said, I love the chakra system. This system is simply a way for us to try to understand different or progressive layers of consciousness. Does that make sense? Um, Tell me where you're at in the course at the moment and what you've loved so far. Karen?
Me,
Yeah.
what I've loved so far, I really loved the theory actually of what we've been learning. I'm kind of new to restorative yoga,
Mm.
so it's kind of been a nice slowing down of pace and just really taking some time to understand. inner body and, you know, like awareness of the different kind of koshas and stuff like that. So I've been really,
Oh, wonderful. So
yeah.
you've done the koshas, which is excellent because that's another way to understand things.
Mm.
Anybody else? What have you been enjoying in this course of restorative yoga?
Um,
Perfect.
well, I'll jump in quickly.
Hey, Leila.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining us
Very
today.
good.
Last week I really enjoyed the Zoom session we had. We discussed the samskaras,
Great.
and the um, I'm not going to pronounce it right. Amankahara,
Yes.
yes, and the four different facets there. So that was really interesting to me, just to go a bit deeper into that.
Can I ask what has made you all interested in restorative yoga? I'm very curious about this. I definitely think it's necessary and is very good medicine for right now, but I'm curious as to why you all decided to do it.
I'll jump in.
Please,
Hi,
Joanne.
Keith.
Hello.
Apologies for having my camera off at the beginning.
No problem at
Um,
all.
I have been drawn to restorative. I think I've shared with the group already. I had a little bit of burnout some years ago, and I went to an integrative practitioner, um, and I kind of accidentally stumbled over restorative, and it seemed to be the only thing that nourished my nervous system and brought my vagus nerve back to some type of attentiveness for my body. And I absolutely concur with what you said, that we just societally, we need it right now. I think everybody needs it. We're just the clever ones that have figured out that we need it. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Thank you, Joanne. Restorative yoga is a deep and vast wing of yoga that I think we're just discovering the benefits now. And you know, you were talking about burnout as being the reason that you actually got into restorative yoga. And I think if we can offer this to people before they get burnt out, it would be even more powerful than it already is.
I totally agree. It should be the preventative rather than the reactive, definitely.
Well, we will end this session with a restorative yoga class based on the chakra system. So that will integrate everything that you're going to learn. And yes, let's dive in. Unless anyone else has any further questions, comments, or concerns. It's so nice to see your faces for those of you who are able to have your camera on, but I understand if you can't. Okay, so who knows what the word chakra means? Go on, use your book. I'm a school teacher, so I'll be like doing revision and all sorts of things with you as well throughout this because I want it to be integrative and interactive. All right, I'll give you a clue. It's round.
Wheel.
Wheel, literally, chakra means wheel. Um, and when we say wheel, we literally mean wheel. So in different parts of India, say you lose a tire, you'll hear the word chakra in that conversation, right? And someone will need to put another tire there, and they're talking about a wheel, a chakra. And when we talk about the chakra system, what we're talking about are energetic centers that exist not in the physical body, but in the subtle body. And for those of us who are still trying to work out this concept of like what's gross, anatomical form, and then what is subtle, let's do this. And it sounds really basic, but it's very helpful. Everybody hold on to the muscles of your arms. So we can think of this as subjectively real, right? Because we can feel and we can touch it. And you know, if we go soft and if we go firm, the touch will be according to that level of pressure. Now, the chakra system, your chakra exists in the subtle body, but the physical body is used as a framework to understand the placement of the chakra. Does that make sense? Okay. If it doesn't, you have to say, I have no idea what you're talking about, and then I can make it a bit clearer. But let's get into a little bit of, it's a funny word, this one, but I think it's appropriate, of the magic of how people actually visualize the chakras. So, has anyone actually been to India? Karen, you have what part of India?
My parents are actually Indian, so
Oh,
my mum's from Goa and my father is from Bellary, which is in Karnataka.
nice. Okay, so the part of India I'm talking about is a place called, it's actually in between Rishikesh. You might have heard of Rishikesh, which is like the Disneyland of yoga, and Haridwar. And in between Rishikesh and Haridwar, there's a place called Saptarishi, which means the seven points that the Ganga has tributaries. And many, many years ago, there were seven rishis. And a rishi is someone who sees things or is a witness to things, um, often that cannot be seen or experienced with the physical eyes. And these rishis were very original yogis. And one day in their conversation, they decided, look, we have to find a way to visualize different levels of consciousness and agree upon this. So what they did was they sat in meditation at these seven tributaries of Ganga, or we might say it roughly as Ganges, but Ganga refers to the mother river, so Ganga Ma. And so they sat by her tributaries and they sat in meditation, and they sat for a very long period of time. Some people say months and some people say years. And so this is where like our intellectual minds are like, what the fuck are you talking about? People can't sit in meditation. Sorry if there's a baby around. Was there a baby? I'm so sorry. Oh, if there is, I'm really sorry. Okay, I'll bring it in. What the hell are you talking about? You cannot possibly think in this way. But the point of this is that what we're learning is actually going beyond the intellect, and it requires a little bit of imagination. So these seven men sat at the tributaries of Gangama, the Saptarishi, seven rishi places, and they sat for a very, very long time. And when they came out of meditation, they drew in yantra form, they drew what they saw. And they were not seven levels of consciousness, but there were actually nine. And what happened was at the time that they imagined the original nine chakra, one was below the body in the ground, and one was above the head, like kind of on the way to heaven. They decided that, we can't share this with the world just yet because let's work on the seven. People can't really understand this concept of there's one below and one ahead, but let's work on seven because we can work on this concept of the chakras sitting in the body, like the physical form. When they came out of meditation, they were able to draw all of the different chakra. Have you ever seen a picture of someone in meditation and you can see all of the different chakra along the spinal column? They drew exactly the same things. So out of meditation, and they got paints and they drew the different chakra from below the feet to above the crown of the head. They literally drew the same yantra. And yantra is simply a word to describe the physical manifestation of a sound or a color. And so they were able to draw all of these different, they look like pictograms. And they drew exactly the same thing. So out of meditation, they came out, they drew these nine yantra, and they were all the same color. They were all the same sacred geometry, and they were all the same, which for us, our intellectual mind will be like, that's impossible. But this is what happened. And from generations, we've been given this information of the chakra system. The information that I have for you today is from two different books and Katie and Sharon Gannon. So if you're interested in like really finding out about it, the two different books, one of the books is called The Chakra System, and it's by Harish Johari. Has anyone heard of him? Harish Johari was something else. He was a Renaissance man. He was someone who was a visual artist, but he was also what we call Shaktipat. So he was definitely enlightened. And he used his visual arts as a way to teach things like subtle anatomy. And in fact, anytime you see someone sitting in meditation with the chakra system painted along their spine, that's inspired by Haresh Johari's works, which were very intricate. And he was able to explain through art the chakra system. Prior to him, there was also the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Have you guys heard of this book? I'll put it in case you haven't. And the Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about the chakra system as well. There's a whole chapter. What we want to do is we want to make this understanding practical and of great use, right? Now, if you open up or do an X-ray of the human body, you wouldn't see the chakra. But you can and do experience this system on a daily basis. I'll explain what I mean. Your physical body contains 72,000 tiny little suns. And these little suns are called nadhi. Has anyone heard this term before? And a way I like to really think about this is explained beautifully by Haresh Johari's daughter, Seema. And she says that when you're really lit up and you have goosebumps, that is the nadi trying to say, look, we're here, right? So 72,000 nadi in the body. And then there's a principal nadi called the Shushumna nadi. Has anyone ever heard of this term? Now, Madonna actually wrote a whole album on it called Ray of Light. And this was like, this sounds ridiculous, but it's actually true. That song Ray of Light is about the Sushumna Nadi and about this column waking up in pure light. There is, at the base of the spine, the Sushumna Nadi starts and it ends here. And then around the Sushumna Nadi coils Ida and Pingala. And we can think of these as the sun and the moon of the nadis. And then where all three of these principal nadis intersect, this is where your chakras sit. This is where your chakras sit, okay? We're working with only 7 today. At the very base of the spine. In fact, I'd love you to try to visualize this. Close down the eyes. And see at the base of the spine a red spinning wheel. This red spinning wheel is called Muladhara chakra. Can we say Muladhara chakra? And Muladhara means the root place. You can open the eyes. When we say the root place, what we're talking about is a place where we are able to feel grounded and connected. This is the place of survival. So when we're talking about a level of consciousness, it's simply survival, right? And existence. So this particular chakra relates to our parents, midwives, doulas, our doctors that have brought us into the world. But also, very practically speaking, it refers to our bosses. So if we have a job where someone else is paying us to do that work, it refers to that because your boss is the person that helps you through paying you money exist in this world. Now, one of the things that yogis can do a really good job of is be really judgmental when it comes to the chakra system. And a yogi will say, for example, if they know someone that's really broke, they'll go, oh my goodness, that Rosie, she's stuck in the Muladhara chakra. And it's a terrible thing to say, and sometimes people do say this, and our job is not to judge on wherever anyone is sitting in their level of consciousness, but people say this kind of thing. I actually find it amusing and unkind. Now, when we look at the Muladhara chakra, like we can look at all chakras, we can think of them as a place, not a physical place, but a place within the body where we can honor particular types of relationships. So it's a great place to, if you're sitting in meditation, visualize your parents, to visualize your boss, your doctors, if you remember what they look like, your doula and your midwife, and to sit in gratitude for a moment to thank them for your existence in this life. I mean, when was the last time we did this? And even if those relationships, maybe perhaps with parents, were difficult, you still carry their DNA. You're still existing because of them at some level. Does that make sense? Each chakra has a sense, like a physical sense, and this one is the sense of smell. And the plane that it exists is, we call it the earth plane that it exists, if you're interested in this kind of thing. So that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That it's the earth plane because it's a grounding place. Now, when you're practicing asana and you're doing standing asana, for example, because standing asana generally is based on the Muladhara chakra. When you're doing standing asana and you're a little bit out of balance, the Muladhara chakra is the place to go and to say, oh, I think I might need to call my mom, right? Or it's been a long time since I've spoken to my dad. And when we think about this, then the asana itself becomes very practical, right? Now, when we practice the asana in the restorative class, generally, I don't know about Katie in the course, but generally I don't teach any standing asana in a restorative class. So we're going to flip it and you'll be lying on the back as if you're standing in Tadasana. Each chakra has a physical asana group. And for Muladhara chakra, it's generally standing, but we'll be lying down because like you can be in Tadasana lying down. Does that make sense? Any questions, comments, or concerns so far? Is it interesting? I hope so. I hope so. Please interject. I'm inviting you to do so.
I've got a question about, and maybe I'm jumping ahead.
Oh,
Tell me if I'm jumping. The colors and
yes.
how they came up with the colors, or is
So,
that something newer?
Yeah, they came up with the colors in the meditation, and you'll see as we go further that it's a rainbow. Yes, beautiful, perfect, perfect. I love that. I love that you've got that, Danielle. Beautiful. So let's continue. Close down the eyes for another moment. And around the genital area, start to envisage an orange spinning wheel. This orange spinning wheel is called Svadhisthana chakra. Let's try that together. Svadhisthana chakra. Svadhisthana, you can open the eyes. Svadhisthana literally means her favorite, and this is the part that's really important, the her part. Her favorite standing place, or her favorite place to exist. Now, the area of the genitals, according to the teachings of yoga, is a creative place, right? Some of us have created children in this place. So it makes a lot of sense that the Svadhisthana chakra relates to lovers we've had in the past or we might have in the future. creative partners as well, business partners because you've created a business with someone, and also children. And when we think of the Svadhisthana chakra, one of the things that we think about is the asana group of hip opening. Does this make sense that it would be hip opening? You know, I recently did a podcast episode of my podcast with Sandy King, and we were talking about the concept of brahmacharya. Have you heard of this word, brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is one of the yamas, or one of the ways to be, according to the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And people interpret it as being sexually abstinent. But this is actually not entirely correct. Brahmacharya refers to using your sexual and creative energy in the right way. And that means in a way that isn't hurting others, in a way that is creating something special. So there's, interestingly, in Sanskrit, there's no differentiation between creative energy and sexual energy. So again, this refers to our lovers, generally in the past, potentially the future, creative partners, business partners, children. And it's very interesting. I don't know if you've had this experience yourself. And if you have, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Sometimes when you're doing a hip opener and you're folding forward, for example, in Baddha Konasana, where the soles of the feet together, the knees are out wide, it can feel very emotional. And according to the teachings of yoga, what you're tapping into is this kind of relationship that perhaps has not been fully resolved, right? Sometimes you might even cry. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I find it very interesting that the plane we're talking about there, the element is water. And I love that the physical sense is taste. Like we can reinterpret that a few different ways. Like, what kind of taste do you have, right? Oh, I love abstract. I love this. I love that. Danielle, you can help me because you've got your chart. So can you please tell me, and in fact, you can do this.
Oh, no.
Okay. I want you to get everyone to close their eyes and picture what color is in the solar plexus area around the navel.
Okay. Everybody close down the eyes. And we're moving into the Manipura chakra. And it is the color yellow, or golden bright light. And it is located in the solar plexus. And so that's the navel. So as you close down the eyes, just feeling into this area, feeling the warmth that it radiates.
And open your eyes. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. You have an easy voice on the ear. So Manipura, let's say that together. Manipura. Yes. Oh, I love this, Joanne. So I love languages, and when we have accents in things and we do this, it sticks. Let's do it together. Manipura. Okay. Money sounds like money, right? And that makes a lot of sense because this means the jewel or the wealth in the city. And this refers to our personal sense of power. I find this chakra so very interesting, right? Has anyone ever had the experience where, for example, you might have had lunch with someone or perhaps gone on a date, and then you feel like it went well. At the time, you feel like it went well. And then you go home, maybe you're on the train, and suddenly in your gut, you're like, I feel like I said something, or I didn't say something that I was supposed to say. And I really feel like I've hurt them. Like it wasn't at the time, but later on, like your body is telling you this, like you get a gut feeling. And then before you know it, you get like a passive aggressive text message. And it's like, yeah, nice lunch. What was this about? Right? This is the Manipura chakra. And when we twist in our asana practice, right, we're addressing the Manipura chakra. Sometimes when we twist, it doesn't feel all that good, right? Or we can't like really taper all that well. And I'm going to give you an example from Sharon Gannon of Jiva Mukti Yoga, which she also took from Haresh Johari's book. I'll say that the karmas that exist in us, or the people that exist in us, the people that we've had these relationships with, they do not exist in the body, but they do exist as the body. So if you're finding it hard to twist, for example, then perhaps this is a need to address someone that you might have not knowingly hurt, right? And Sharon even says, if you've hurt someone by eating them, right? Like if you eat another living being, you'll feel that there. This is not about guilt. There's no guilt in Sanskrit. There's none. So you could like do a lot of twisting, or you could stop eating meat if you haven't already, right? I love this. The element, the plane, the element is fire, which makes a lot of sense because there's digestive fire there as well. And it's about sight, your physical sight. How are you seeing things? Maybe you didn't see things so well. So this is about people we may have unknowingly hurt. And it's about twists. So Ardha Matsyendrasana, reclined twists. Yeah. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Who has something that, like what Danielle has? Has anyone got that at home? Like with the colors? Emma, do you have it nearby?
I have to get it up on my
Ramesh Johari's book. That is his book. Oh, okay. Emma, do you have it nearby?
I have to just get it up on my computer.
All right, get it on your computer and you can do the next one. You'll get us to close our eyes and visualize whichever color is next.
Can I just ask about that chakra, but a little bit more about the personal sense of power? And
Yes.
before you were talking about, about maybe unintentionally hurting someone, what is there something more related to our own self?
As we move on in the chakra system, there is. But with this one, I want us to think of it really like quite practically. Think about when you acquire something, and often when we acquire anything, it is an expression of our personal power. We draw it in, right? And we draw it into this space. And sometimes we draw it in, but we're not conscious of who suffers as we do it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it.
Go for it, Emma.
Okay, so if everyone wants to close down their eyes and bringing your attention up to the heart space in the center of your chest, the Anahata chakra, radiating a beautiful wheel of green light, bringing in compassion, love, balance, forgiveness, and acceptance, being worthy of love.
Emma, that was perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we say anahata? Mhm. Do it with your hand. Anahata. Yes. When there's an A in front of a word in Sanskrit, which is the language of yoga, I love this language. It denotes that it is like it means no. A means no. So have you heard the word ahimsa? So himsa is to harm. Ahimsa is do not harm. So anahata means unstruck. Okay, now we're getting really interesting here. This might be my favorite chakra if there's such a thing. Everybody have one hand and then your other hand. And then I have to imagine the sound because you're all on mute at the moment. So this is a struck sound. This is hata, right? Nahata. But anahata means that a sound is created when there is nothing to strike. Because this sound is internal. And we're referring to this now. We've moved up into a level of consciousness where we begin to see others as ourselves. So there's no other to strike to make a sound. Does that make some kind of sense? So, okay, Matthew, I love that face because it's very transparent. It was like, not quite. So when we were working with the Manipura chakra, we were working with people we might have hurt, right? Now we're working with people who might have hurt us. And what we're trying to understand here is that we're trying to evolve. And instead of going, you have hurt me so much, I'm going to hurt you back. We start to recognize that when people hurt us, it's probably because they don't understand at this point of their evolution that they're not just similar to us, but they are us and we are them. Right? So this place, as Emma so beautifully expressed, is the place of compassion. And it's also the place of forgiveness and deep inner listening, right? And this is when we can really talk about this concept of moving beyond the intellect. Did anyone ever watch that incredible telenovela called Den of Wolves? Oh, it's so funny. So the main character, there was a famous scene where she says, yes, I forgive, like her enemy. But I can never forget. Anahata chakra is about doing the opposite. So is actually saying, all right, I'm going to fake it till I make it. And usually when we can't forgive, we're closing the body up. Has anyone ever had this experience? And, I don't want anyone to ever hurt me again, so I'm just going to close up my whole body. When we backbend, we're saying, okay, I don't really feel like forgiving, but I'm going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to make it happen in my body until the rest of my psyche understands that it's time to forgive. Right? So sometimes when people practice backbending, sometimes people say, oh, I can't backbend. I don't have strong enough arms. You don't have to backbend this way. But deep down, according to the teachings of yoga, the reason why we're resistant to backbending is because we don't want to forgive, right? I hope this doesn't trigger anyone. Everyone's already thinking of someone like, I could forgive everyone except that prick, or her, I can't forgive her, the way she dumped me, like that. But according to the teachings of yoga, we're doing the opposite. We're making the body do the work, and eventually, but inevitably, we will go with the body. Is this interesting? Yeah? Okay, good. So we're talking about the plane or the element of air. And also, I love this, physical touch. Because, often when we're in a place of like non-forgiveness, don't go near me, don't touch me, stay away from me. But this is like, well, maybe, maybe I can open up a little bit more. Yeah. Joanne, what kind of essential oil is that?
It's Young Living. It's called Blue Relief, and it's for just to settle you, to ground you. I'm a bit
Yeah.
I'm passionate about the subject matter, but also I've had a very full day.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'm just doing that while I'm listening. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. No problem at all. Well, blue is the next one. So, who would like to, if you have one of those panels, who would like to take us through the next chakra called Vishuddha? All right, I'll do it this time. Close down the eyes. And in the area of the throat, visualize a blue spinning wheel radiating from the throat and out. Vishuddha chakra. Peel the eyes open. Please repeat after me. Vishuddha. Vishuddha. Yes, very good. So now we're getting really, literally quite deep here. The Vishuddha means to remove poison, right? And really, the biggest poison that we live in, or the biggest toxin that we live in, is the poison of low self-esteem. You know, if ever you hear yourself say anything like this, there's nothing that I can do, or what I do won't make a difference, or there's no way that I can possibly affect change. That's a poison. Because when we do it, other people do it around us too, right? And we're like spreading poison. So what we're trying to do is cleanse this, like this concept of what I think, say, and do doesn't count. Because according to the teachings of yoga, what we think, say, and do counts tremendously. We just might not see the results straight away. It's interesting that it's at the area of the throat and that it's about one's esteem. Because do you know, have you, like when you hear people say, it might not be you, but when you hear people say things like, for example, oh, don't mind me. Or I don't really care what we do. Tell me what you want to do, right? I mean, that's nice sometimes, but if you say that all the time, it's not great. And also this refers to like the courage to speak up, particularly when it's uncomfortable. So, you know, when someone says something racist, sexist, or homophobic, if you're clear in the Vishuddha chakra, you'll say, that was really not very kind, what you just said. Maybe you're not aware of it, but what you said was unkind. Instead of doing the thing that I sometimes do and I go, you know, and it's the last thing I want to do is do that nervous laugh that means, like, I don't like what you said, but I don't want to tell you off, right? And I sometimes think now, it's so much better. In fact, I know this now. It's so much better to tell them because if they had the, you know, the audacity to say the thing, then we also need to have the audacity to say what you said was incredibly sexist or super racist, or can you hear what you said was homophobic, or any other thing that's unkind. So when we deal with any asana that allows us to stretch, lengthen the neck, either way, then this is the Vishuddha chakra. And the relationship is with ourselves. Right? Like the most important relationship that we could possibly have is with ourselves. I know it sounds really corny, but it's so true. Like Emma touched on it with the Anahata chakra. If you don't love yourself and if you don't speak up for yourself, how will you love or speak up for others? This is about hearing, physical hearing, and the plane of existence or the element is ether. So it's all around us. Okay, Danielle, just because I know you have the sheet and it's Ajna for the next one, so take us through.
So coming back to closing down your eyes and just take your focus point between your brows. This is your Ajna chakra. It is your third eye chakra. And just picture the color blue, dark blue. And this is your space of clarity, of intuition. It is where the mind lives.
Thank you, Danielle. The color can also be interpreted as violet. And Ajna, can we say Ajna?
Ajna.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not on mute.
So Ajna means the command center, right? I love the concept of that because it means that the pilot of me is here. It's not, this isn't it. This is just the vehicle, this physical form, but the pilot is here. This deals with our relationships with our teachers. Another word for teacher is guru. And let's break that down. Gu is heaviness or darkness, and Ru means light. And the guru is the one who removes the darkness and brings it to light, brings you to light. And it's a funny word. Like I know when we think of guru, we think of like sometimes quite an unsavory image, especially these days. It feels like, I mean, I love cult documentaries, but it seems like so many legitimate forms of spirituality have now been unmasked as being like really something quite terrible. But the word itself is pure, guru. And if you really want to think about it in the simplest terms, break it down, G, you are you. So the guru reminds you, like, you're something special. Gee, you're you, right? And their job is so important for us because maybe we don't have the right glasses on. I don't know if you saw, Katie has glasses. It's so weird. Like I've known Katie for decades, literally. And now I'm seeing her with glasses. I feel like she's a different person. I know it's just glasses, but like, it's so strange. But a guru puts on cosmic sunglasses for you so you can see the light in yourself. And it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, that when we practice child's pose, we're honoring the guru, right? There's this thing in Eastern cultures that if you're in the presence of your teacher, there's massive deference. It's very hard for us, I think. It's very hard for lots of people in Eastern cultures too these days. The idea of bowing down to another, it's not that you're bowing down to them as a physical person. This is where people get really confused. But you're bowing down to them as the teacher, right? Or the principle of the teacher. And why that's important for us to note is there's also in Buddhism this concept of find the teacher, learn from the teacher. Actually, the Buddhist precept says kill the teacher. And you don't physically kill the teacher. You kill the attachment to the teacher eventually. We're dealing here with intuition. So when you're talking about the mind, right? This specific part of the mind. And of course, the pituitary gland is here. You got to look this up. Go on a big deep dive on YouTube about the pituitary gland and its relationship to the third eye. Science is only catching up. The plane or element is akasha. And we can think of akasha because we just had ether as like, around us. Akasha is potential. Sometimes it's translated as space, but really think about it as potential. And a really good teacher actually is one that will say, trust yourself, trust your intuition, right? Not do everything I say. That's different. That's a cult. You haven't really lived unless you've been in a cult, guys. So, any questions, comments, or concerns so far? Yeah.
We haven't spoken much about poses for the ajna.
Yeah.
You mentioned child's pose. Is that
Yes.
because the space, the third eye is meant to be pressing lightly against something?
Correct.
Is
Yeah.
there any other poses?
Any asana where that's happening. So if you're lying on the belly and you've got the forehead down, because child's pose isn't available to everybody. Actually, in restorative yoga, it is. But generally speaking, it can be quite a different. I mean, if you've got tight hamstrings like me and you're in an open class, child's pose can be quite hard. But restorative is so nice, So at some point in your restorative class, squeeze it in, where the forehead, even if it's a bolster, because the bolster is also representing the mother, right?
And I know a lot of us in here have also just done our 200 hours. And, even when we bring our hands in prayer, we could use our thumbs even
We
for a few
can.
breaths,
Thumbs, fingertips, even when you bring a script to your forehead, like, a sacred text to your forehead, that's the same. In classical Indian dance, maybe you've seen this, Karen. In classical Indian dance, like Odissi, Bharatanatyam, you'll see the dancers, they touch the floor with their hands first, and then they bring it to their third eye, or they bring the third eye all the way down, because, you have to say thank you to the mother. The mother is the teacher then. Yes. Yes, Nadi Shodhana, absolutely. Matthew just asked, yeah, because you do this. So if you're doing Nadi Shodhana, you're doing the same thing, right? It's so good because you've got your third eye that you're stimulating, or you're reminding the body of the third eye, but you're also Ida and Pingala. So you're doing the balance, right? Okay. All right. Emma, can you do the last one? This is good timing. Very good timing.
Okay. So everybody closing down your eyes and moving your awareness from the third eye up to the crown, the Sahasrara chakra
That's excellent.
at the top of your head, and visualize a violet spinning wheel radiating from the top of your head, your consciousness, your spirituality, unity, and awareness. Thank you.
You'll open the eyes.
Yeah.
this spinning wheel, Sahasrara, we can think of it as this. Sahasrara literally means multi-petaled or thousand-petaled lotus. So like a lotus flower on like it's a little crown. And this was explained to me very beautifully by Seema Johari, Haresh Johari's daughter, once again, who comes out to Sydney. I try to bring her out every year. So she explains it in this way. Think of each petal, so multi-petaled is better than thousand-petaled. Every petal is another holy sentient being, not necessarily a human being. And every single one of those petals represents someone else that we might interact with, even very vaguely in our lives. And the Sahasrara chakra is a way for us to remember that we're part of a greater whole. We're part of supreme consciousness, because really, if we're in this human form, there's a remembering that this is just a piece of the greater whole. And what you think of as your individual soul is a piece of a greater puzzle. And in fact, the Sahasrara chakra, it's often pictured as violet, but it's also every color of the rainbow. Every color of the rainbow. When we think about, as Emma said, our spirituality, we're thinking about God. Now, the word God is a very simple way to describe something indescribable. So everyone has a relationship with God, but break it down, give own definition. I cannot tell you who or what God is for you, but what God represents is this cosmic consciousness, this all-pervasive awareness that we're all a part of, right? You might choose a word such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi, Sarasvati, Krishna, or any god in your own faith. Can you guess what chakra group? Headstands. Now, you wouldn't necessarily teach a headstand in a restorative class, although you might. But in this class, we're simply doing this. Again, it's Akasha. And we now go beyond even intuition, and we go to a place called I am. There's nothing to finish that sentence, I am, right? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Shall we do a quick revision? And then we will do, in fact, we're going to do it this way, guys. Test your note taking. I will ask you, okay? All right, let's go back to the very base of the spine. A red spinning wheel. What is this wheel called? Unmute.
Manipura.
Muladhara.
Muladhara. And what does Muladhara mean?
The root.
Yes, root place.
Yeah.
And give me one example of a relationship that we're trying to resolve or at least address when we're standing in the Muladhara chakra.
Parents.
Yes.
Parents.
Yes. Yep.
Giving gratitude for your existence, giving
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
I think this is the most important thing to think about when it comes to looking at all of these relationships, because there's good and bad in all relationships, but we must be grateful that we've had them, because at some level, they're the reason why we're existing now. Like even bad romantic breakups, even failed business relationships. We're still here now because we've had those experiences, right? Even people that we might have hurt and we feel pretty guilty about it. There's no word for guilt in Sanskrit, so there's no need to feel guilty. Even people who have hurt us, right? Okay, what is the element?
Earth.
Yes, correct. Can you see how everything comes together, guys? Earth, because you're grounding.
Yeah.
And then what is the sense, physical sense?
Smell.
Smell, beautiful. All right. Orange spinning wheel around the area of the genitals. What's it called? Unmute and answer my question, please.
Sahara.
Swadhisthana.
Swadstana.
Let's do it together. Swadhisthana. Swadhisthana. Yes. Okay. How do you say your name? Twani Mancini?
Yes, Tuwani Mancini.
Tuani Mancini. What nationality are you?
Brazil.
Brazil. Okay, cool. I want to go back to Muladhara for a sec. So Muladhara, something else to remember is that your culture is part of this, right? Like honoring your culture in some way. Even if, or particularly if, like me, there's several cultures in your lineage. Now, for Svadhisthana chakra, who can tell me which kind of relationships we're trying to address? Yes, Joanne.
Partners we have created. So children, lovers, business partners, partners of past and future.
Beautiful. And what element?
Water.
And what physical sense?
Taste.
Beautiful. The yellow spinning wheel at the solar plexus is Manipura. What does Manipura mean?
Solar plexus.
Yes. So it doesn't mean solar plexus. It exists in the area of the solar plexus, at least in our visualization.
You
But
said
what?
something hands on. I didn't get it. Hands, money, hands,
Money.
jewelry. What was it?
Jewelry.
Jewel
So
of
the
wealth.
jewel or the abundance or the wealth in the city.
Jewelry happens about the city in on the hands. Is that
I
what?
like that. I like that. So this deals with our sense of personal power and the kinds of relationships people. And when I say people, I want to really say human people, dog people, cat people, fish people, cow people, pig people, bird people, people we may have hurt unknowingly, usually unknowingly. And what is the element? Think of digestion.
Fire.
Fire.
Great. And what is the sense?
Sight.
Agni.
Sight. How we see. And then we move to the area of the heart. Anahata. What does anahata mean?
Unstuck.
Unstruck. Thank you, Brioni. So that concept of there no longer is an other person to strike, right? You do nothing to hurt them. They do nothing to hurt you now, right? And it's about deep inner listening. What else is it about?
Compassion, forgiveness.
Compassion and forgiveness. Beautiful. What I forgot to ask, in Svadhisthana, what asana group?
Hip opening.
Hip opening, forward bending as well, but in this class it's hip opening mainly. And in Manipura,
Twisting.
pardon, twisting,
Twisting.
yes.
And
And in Anahata, what are we doing?
Back bends.
Back bends, yeah. So back bends are also chest openers, and this is why it's so important. Danielle, did you have a question? No? Okay. And we're talking about touch and the element of air. I really like this concept of like when something's unstruck, like air can be a conductor. Vishuddha, a blue spinning wheel right here. What does Vishuddha mean?
The relationship with ourselves.
Well, that's the relationship type, but what does Vishuddha literally mean?
To remove poison.
Remove poison.
Yes, to remove poison. And what did we discuss as being like a pretty pervasive poison that lots of us suffer from?
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem and not being able to speak up for ourselves. That's part of low self-esteem. It's the same thing. Or speak up for others. Like, you know, when you've got a really strong sense of self, you'll speak up for yourself and you'll speak up for others as if you were speaking up for yourself. And we're talking about physical hearing and ether. Then
Can I ask, Keith, what's ether?
ether is like, this is why it's confusing because Akasha is considered space as well. Ether is like all around us, right? That's why I don't like to translate Akasha as space. Akasha really is potential. Katie might have a different view on that, actually. I'd be interested to see what she says. And now we're at the Ajna chakra, the third eye. This is a purple spinning wheel. And this deals with our relationship with our teachers. And it doesn't have to be, guys, physically a teacher. So, I mean, I guess this is also a teacher, but like it could be a coach when you were a kid and you were playing soccer. It could be a life coach. It could be anyone that has taught you something that was a formal subject, but you learnt a lot more. Does that make sense? Did you have like a teacher in your life that maybe taught you maths, but actually they taught you something else within that subject? Perhaps how to collaborate with others. Perhaps how to have critical thinking. This is the guru. And this is Akasha or potential. And it deals with intuition. So the job of a guru is to say, trust yourself. Ajna means what, guys?
Man center.
Man center. Very good. So think of your third eye or the soul as being the pilot for this vehicle. And the only way that you learn how to drive the vehicle is if you have a good teacher. And then Sahasrara. What does it mean? Oh, what's the asana for Ajna chakra? It's the main asana.
Child's pose.
Child's pose, or anything that brings the third eye down to touch the floor. All right, Sahasrara. What does it mean?
Thousandfold petal crown.
Or thousand-petaled lotus. Yeah. What does each petal represent? Well, we can think of it poetically this way. It's not.
Holy sentient being.
Yes, Yeah. That are on the same journey as you and I, that are connected in the same way as you and I to this big cosmic consciousness that we might refer to as God. And how could you explain the concept of God to others? God, give,
Your own definition.
give own definition. Yeah. And it's headstand. Classically, it's headstand. All right. So I would love to teach you a restorative yoga class based on the chakra system, but would anyone like a break for a few minutes first, and then we'll come back? So you might want to set up your mat. I don't really need to see you necessarily if you are in a kind of an awkward position, but it will help if I did see you in case what I'm explaining doesn't translate. Okay? Are you ready to go now? All right, we'll
Are we
come in.
going to lie down on the floor, stuff like this?
We're going to lie on the floor.
Ah, okay. So I need to get my mat. One
Okay.
second.
Everybody, let's
Yeah,
give
it
it
needs
3
some time to
minutes.
set up.
1 second.
Set it up, give it 3 minutes. And then if you've got a bolster as well, that would be really good.
Okay.
Before you completely settle, can everyone give me a thumb so that I know that you're almost ready? I know it's probably hard to give a thumb when you're lying down. Thank you, Danielle. So on your mat, come to lie on the back, perhaps supported by a bolster underneath the knees, and allow the knees to simply fall into each other or have the legs extended over the bolster. Take a few moments to settle the breath. It's a lovely cat. If the eyes are open, close them. So for this class, I'm going to do a reading at the very beginning and also at the end. Looking into the inside, Lucy saw several coats hanging up, mostly long, vegan fur coats. There was nothing Lucy liked so much as the smell and feel of vegan fur. She immediately stepped into the wardrobe and got in among the coats and rubbed her face against them, leaving the door open, of course, because she knew that it is a very foolish thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. Soon she went further in and found out that there was a second row of coats hanging up behind the first one. It was almost quite dark in there, and she kept her arms stretched out in front of her so as not to bump her face into the back of the wardrobe. She took a step further in, then 2 or 3 steps, always expecting to feel woodwork against the tips of her fingers. But she could not feel it. This must be a simply enormous wardrobe, thought Lucy, going still further and pushing the soft folds of the coats aside to make room for her. Then she noticed that there was something crunching under her feet. I wonder, is that more mothballs, she thought, stooping down to feel it with her hand. But instead of feeling the hard, smooth wood of the floor of the wardrobe, she felt something soft and powdery and extremely cold. This is very queer, she said, and went on a step or 2 further. Next moment, she found that what was rubbing against her face and hands was no longer soft fur, but something hard and rough and even prickly. Why, it is just like the branches of trees, exclaimed Lucy. And then she saw that there was a light ahead of her, not a few inches away where the back of the wardrobe ought to have been, but a long way off. Something cold and soft was falling on her. A moment later, she found that she was standing in the middle of a wood at night, with snow under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. Lucy felt a little frightened, but she felt very inquisitive and excited as well. She looked back over her shoulder, and there between the dark tree trunks, she could still see the open doorway of the wardrobe and even catch a glimpse of the empty room from which she had set out. She had, of course, left the door open, for she knew that it is a very silly thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. It seemed to be still daylight there. I can always get back if anything goes wrong, thought Lucy. So she began to walk forward. As you're lying in lying Tadasana, feel the parts of the body that are deeply connected to Mother Earth underneath. And with every exhalation, make a deeper connection to the Mother. Notice the parts of the body that are resistant to connecting. And with each exhalation, let them go. So that eventually, but inevitably, in lying Tadasana, we're as connected and supported as we possibly can be by Mother Earth underneath. Picture at the base of the spine a red spinning wheel, Muladhara chakra. And take another moment. Feeling a deeper connection to Mother Earth. Perhaps reflecting on your physical mother or your father or even your boss. If you have a bolster underneath the legs, bend up the knees and bring the soles of the feet onto the bolster. Beautiful. From here, cross the right ankle over the left knee. Yes. So not knee over knee, but right ankle over left knee. You got it. With the left hand, push the left thigh or the left hip down. And with the right hand, push the right thigh forward. So you're more actively than passively opening up the right hip. And then bring the arms down by the sides. Bring the right sole of the foot down. And then cross the left ankle over right knee. For a moment, bring right hand to right hip. And then push the left thigh forward to more actively than passively open the left hip. And then bring the arms down. Roughly in the area of the genitalia. Picture an orange spinning wheel. Svadhisthana chakra, the seat of your creativity. And perhaps as you're visualizing this orange spinning wheel, someone comes to mind that represents this kind of relationship. A creative or romantic partner. One of your children. Or a business partner. And then bring the left sole of the foot down. And if you have a bolster, bring it to the left side so that it's long on your left side. Yes. Give the knees a squeeze and start to gently rock from side to side. Maybe making figure eights out of the knees or the infinity symbol. And then allow the knees to rest over to your left. Stretching the arms out to a T shape and gazing up and over to right thumb. If that's too much of a strain for the neck, please gaze up to the ceiling instead, or close down the eyes. Very slowly lift the knees and bring your bolster to the other side. Feel free to move the knees from side to side. Before eventually resting the knees onto the bolster on the right side and gazing over to the left thumb, or gazing up to the ceiling, or closing down the eyes. Picture around the area of the belly button a yellow spinning wheel, Manipura chakra, the seat of personal power. Perhaps the image of someone in your life who you at the time unknowingly hurt arises. And without letting a feeling of guilt arise, simply reflect on that image. Removing your bolster, lie all the way onto the right side. Make a pillow out of the hands and stay here. And now set up the bolster at the front of the mat so it's across. Yes. And then from here, come to lie on the belly with the bottom or cartilage ribs resting on the bolster. Yes. And then from here, bring the forearms parallel to one another so that the elbows are roughly underneath the shoulders and then the forearms are railroad tracking each other. Coming into what looks like right now a Sphinx pose. And then from here, bend the right knee out to the side. Yes. And then you can choose to stay here or with the forearms pressing down, gaze back at right knee. So you're in a back bend still. Yes. Slowly extend the right leg next to left. Then bend the left knee out. And you can stay here pressing onto the forearms or take it further by looking back at that left knee. Yes. And now extend the left leg next to right. And then press into the forearms so you're lifting the chest. Yes. Coming into Sphinx pose. So keep the elbows bent. And the forearms are still on the mat. That's it. You're lifting the chest, coming into a definite back bend here. Closing down the eyes in Sphinx pose. And picturing in the area of the heart a green spinning wheel, the Anahata chakra, the place of deep inner listening, compassion, and forgiveness. Perhaps someone you need to forgive, their image arises. Take a moment to simply reflect on that image. And choose to stay here or extend the arms off the mat, keeping the hands connected to the mat. Coming into a deeper back bend called either seal or crocodile. Bringing the gaze ahead or inside. And then come to lie all the way down, resting the forehead down or resting the head to one side. You can still rest on the bolster or you can remove it. Yogi's choice. And now from here, still lying on the belly, you might still have the bolster underneath. What we're going to do is come to a lying chin rest. So we're going to have the elbows slightly ahead, the arms are bent, and we're resting the chin in the hands. So you're feeling a stretch in the neck. Either gazing ahead or inside. And as we stretch and open the area of the neck, this is the place of the Vishuddha chakra, the poison removing place. See a version of yourself that is confident, that is able to speak up for yourself and for others clearly and effectively. See a version of yourself that can communicate with ease. And then rest the head down once again. Perhaps making a pillow with the hands, either resting to one side or the other, or bringing the forehead down. Now you are welcome to stay here, but bring the forehead directly down onto your bolster or your mat and bring the arms by the sides. Or come to a restorative child's pose with the bolster analogous to the spine and the knees either side of the bolster so that you can really feel the breath in the belly. And you can rest the head to one side or the other, but we will spend some breaths with the forehead all the way down at the end. So if you have your head turned to one side, stay here, be comfortable. I'll let you know when it's time to turn to the other side. And I'll also let you know when it's time to bring the forehead down. Rest your head to the other side. And now everybody rest the forehead down. So the third eye is being stimulated here. And in your third eye, visualize a purple spinning wheel, the Ajna chakra, the command center, the seat of intuition, and the place of the guru. And now very slowly sit up. Feel free to bring the legs either side of the bolster, to cross the ankles, or to sit on the heels. Whatever is a comfortable seated position for you, where the spine is long, the chest is broad. And everybody interlace the fingers above the crown of the head and on the crown of the head and lift into the crown of the head. As you close your eyes, picture a multi-petaled and multicolored lotus flower at the crown of the head. This is the Sahasrara chakra. Every petal represents a sentient being on the same spiritual journey as you. This lotus represents God or supreme consciousness or ultimate awareness. If an image of God, give own definition, arises, take a moment to reflect on this image. And slowly let go of the crown of the head and make your way to the same position you started the class, lying on the back, perhaps with the knees supported by a bolster. Once again, notice the physical body and its connection to Mother Earth underneath. Letting go of each part of the body slowly, so that eventually, but inevitably, you have a rather deep connection to the Mother supporting you. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. And with the mind's eye, see the physical body as being at rest. Now picture inside your skull. See nothing but darkness. Until at the very center of the skull, you can visualize a tiny pinprick of light, which is then surrounded by a circle of little white lights, and another circle still, and yet another, and another again, until eventually, but inevitably, the whole of the head is filled with light. Now visualize the inside of the chest cavity. See nothing but darkness. Until you can just make out a tiny pinprick of light at the center of the chest. And then around this pinprick of light, a circle of tiny white lights. And another around that. And yet another. And yet another still. Until eventually, but inevitably, the whole of the chest cavity the whole of the torso is filled with light. And now the neck and the arms, all the way to the fingertips, are all filled with light. The hips, the seat, and all the way down the legs to the toes is filled with light. So that eventually, but inevitably, the whole physical body seems glitter-filled. Allow for the physical body to be bathed in this radiance. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. There is a secret place, a radiant sanctuary, as real as your own kitchen, more real even than that. Constructed of the purest elements, overflowing with the 10,000 beautiful things, worlds within worlds, forest, rivers, velvet coverlets thrown over feather beds, fountains bubbling beneath the canopy of stars, bountiful forests, universal libraries, a wine cellar offering an intoxication so sweet you will never want to be sober again. A clarity so complete you will never ever forget. This magnificent refuge is inside you. Enter. Shatter the darkness that shrouds the doorway. Step around the poisonous vipers that slither at your feet, attempting to throw you off your course. Be bold. Be humble. Put away the incense and forget the incantations that they taught you. Ask no permission from the authorities. Slip away, close your eyes, and follow your breath to the still place that leads to the invisible path that is home. No one else controls access to the perfect place. Give yourself your own unconditional permission to go there. Absolve yourself of missing the mark again and again. Believe the incredible truth that the Beloved has chosen for his dwelling place, the core of your own being, because that is the single most beautiful place in all of creation. Waste no time. Enter the center of your very soul. Start to bring the awareness of your physical body back into this space. Do so by lengthening the breath and deepening the breath. Wiggle the toes and the fingers and roll the ankles and the wrists in and out a few times before extending arms overhead and taking a full and deep stretch from toes to fingers, lengthening the spine and release. Bend the knees into the chest and roll over to your right side, making a little pillow with the hands. Stay here, please do not rush. And now slowly make your way to a comfortable seated position. Press the hands together at the heart. And as you bow the head, bring the fingertips to the point between the eyebrows. Namaste. It is, and it has been such an honor and a privilege to teach you all. We have a few minutes, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or even a reflection that would help me improve my teaching, please let me know. Maybe you don't feel like talking, that's also okay.
I just was thinking about what you were speaking about in the beginning and trying to make sense of it. I think my brain went to
Yeah, I understand. But if you feel rested, then that's good too.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think we practiced asana, including shavasana, for about 40 something minutes. You'd probably give each of those asana a longer time. I just really wanted to cover everything. Yeah, you'd probably give them a little bit longer time. And there's a few little things that you could tweak. For example, in Sphinx pose, you could put a block at its highest setting underneath the forehead so that you didn't feel like you're putting too much effort into it, because restorative is about rest. And any other little things that you can, with your imagination, do. Like, for example, you can, for when you cross the ankle over the knee, you can also have the lower back on the bolster to rest it. So there's so many different ways you can play with this. I hope you've got something out of tonight's class. And yeah, I have nothing left to teach. I mean, I could probably teach you for another 3 hours, but I think we've done a good job.
Just one quick question. You did like all the chakras, right?
Yeah.
But would you explain each one of the chakras or go in deep? Like when we said the touch,
So some
would you do this? Would you talk about the chakras specifically, or
it depends on the context of the class. So if you're teaching a restorative yoga class and it's the kind of studio that that kind of thing is maybe not even discussed, you don't have to mention it. They'll still take the teachings on because you've sequenced the class in the form of the chakras. You might even say this is a chakra focused class where each asana is based on a chakra. And you can say this stuff in the beginning for 5 minutes, and then you can do the class. Because sometimes, like, if you get stuck in the intellect again, then you're not resting, right?
Keith, do you find it that there's a sequence in terms of, if you're going to touch on a certain number of chakras in a class, you'll always start with Muladhara and then you'll move up from there? Like, are there certain points you'll always touch on, and then others that, you won't? Like, how does that, do you find some are more deeply restorative than others? How do you teach that?
It's a really good question. So what I would say is that if you're going to teach a class that featured the chakras, try to do all 7. And at the same time, you might want to teach a class that only does, let's say only, Anahata chakra, Vishuddha chakra, and Ajna chakra. And then you can have like a number of different back bends. Then you can have like different neck releases or different neck asanas. And you can lie on the floor straight or child's pose, right? So if you want to spend more time in the asana and you want to do 3, that's also good. I think I mean, there's so many options. And I think sometimes we take teaching a little bit too literally, in that we feel like we've got to give a lot of information. We don't have to, right? If you've got it inside, like you're thinking about it, Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Thanks.
Keith, I do have a bit of a question that sort of, I guess it stems from that, and I've been wanting to kind of ask it the whole time as well.
Go for it.
You you sort of said that it's an evolution, and you kind of start at the bottom one at the root chakra, and you're kind of moving up. But I guess each one sort of I can relate to different aspects of each one, but I feel like is it a progressional thing? Like you don't really address the higher ones until you address the lower ones, or how does that sort of work?
Really great question. So they exist sequentially, but we don't exist sequentially. So, we might, for example, be at a really great place with our parents, right? One day. And then our creativity is all open. And then our sense of personal power is pretty balanced. But then you'll have an argument with your dad. You'll sink back in. And that's okay. Because this is part of the evolution that's our personal evolution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
And I think the most important thing is to really go, oh, where am I at? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Are you wearing a robe?
I am indeed.
I love it. I love it.
I got absolutely drenched on the way to work and the way home from work today, and that was just kind of like the shit sandwich that today was. Except for the beautiful session of yoga that I did with a couple of yoga companions before the shit hit the fan. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of why I'm just being comfortable right now. Yeah,
that's good. I like it a lot. I want to say, everyone, I'm really so touched by the openness you had to this subject. I mean, I literally could teach on the chakra system for an entire weekend. In fact, I've led entire retreats that went for 3 days on the chakra system. We do a few a day. So and I think the subject is so vast that even for me, I want to go, wait, we've got to do this, we've got to do this, we didn't even touch on the different chants that the chakra each have. I thought that would be too much, in the one class. But I'm very touched with how open everyone has been about learning about this stuff and all of your great questions. Because remember, your questions, even your reactions, it helps me to become a better teacher. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Keith.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. It was wonderful.
Namaste.
Thank you, Keith. Namaste.
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 Namaste.